All right. Hello, and welcome to the Grow Up with Grow show. I'm Brett Schklar, your cruise director and managing partner here at Grow Powerful. There's a lot of marketing shows out there. This one's actually not for the marketing teams. This is for the chief executive officers, the chief revenue officers, and the venture capital firms that are partners with the portfolio companies. And just a quick reminder, Grow is a team of battle-tested and proven fractional chief marketing officers for the innovation economy. We've assembled some of the greatest growth minds in all of B2B technology and deliver them as an incredibly talented team of proven iCMOs or interim CMOs. And on that note, one of the greatest marketing minds in all of B2B technology is joining us today. We've got with us not only a topic to talk about, but a person that you probably would love to hear from. Today's topic is omnichannel marketing and asking the question, does it apply to all marketing channels? And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that with Kienast. Kay is a more recent addition to our team of iCMOs, which again is the greatest growth minds in all of B2B technology. She's very focused on data, infrastructure marketing. She's an executive that designs and implements end-to-end marketing programs that build brands and rapidly acquires and keeps customers. Sounds like something most of us probably need and want and love. She's held some fantastic roles, a lot of team leadership, a lot of CMO and VP of marketing roles in technology startups, as well as international and multi-billion-dollar market leaders. She's actually completed 3 exits, not 1, not 2, but 3 successful exits during her career, which is very rare. And she really knows how to be a true influencer. She knows how to bring things to light. Companies she's worked with, True Influence, Seagate, Evault, and Avocent have all been part of that exit program. In her background, she's got great companies like GE, Seagate again, Xerox, Adobe, Cisco, Bell Atlantic Corporation, CDW, and Dell. A lot of amazing background. So I think it's a person that we should actually listen to and sort of hear. And one of the cool things, Kay, I'm going to finally get to you here. I'm going to, instead of talking about you, maybe I'll start talking with you. But I saw in your bio something about the 522 Leadership Development Award. And I'd love for you to say hi and tell us a little bit about what that is, because that sounds pretty cool.
Thanks, Brett, and glad to be here. Glad you invited me. So the 552 Leadership Program existed several years ago and was a scholarship by the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. You'll remember in the early days, they believed that marketing and business should align. Marketing, business, and education should align. So they offered 32 scholarships.
Nice.
And that was kind of a cool thing because you got to meet leaders in both education, marketing, and business as you traverse through this program.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, Kay, you obviously from the background, well, I'm not going to say it any other way than you really know your shit. And so I think that this is going to be a good conversation, but I'm going to hold your feet to the fire and ask you one specific question, which is, what is your superpower?
I think it's hard to have a superpower. But if there is one, I would tell you that it's creating a growth strategy based on data.
Okay.
We can all have a gut feeling about something, but generally the data will lead you if you understand the actual definition of the data that you're looking at and the fields you're looking at. So I like doing that. I think it's fun. It's puzzle pieces. And it leads you somewhere. And by the way, I should always say there's never one answer. So if you're a CEO and you're looking for an answer, typically I would offer up multiple 2 or 3 scenarios to say which fits you better based on the data from their organization.
Got it. Love it. That's an amazing superpower. So then let's take that superpower and let's talk about, we're in this weird year called 2023. We've been, surviving and actually a lot of companies thriving for the last few years. We're now hitting a point where there's, the ugly I word, inflation. There's the ugly R word, recession. There's the ugly L word, layoffs are taking place. So as we head into 2023, if you were talking to a CEO today, what would you say is a winning formula for marketing leadership in the 2023 that we're living in right now?
So I would say the winning formula is understanding the customer. It's always customer first and foremost. And again, we'll go back to that data. And then I would tell you marketing's entire mission is to be the voice of the customer and to be actually creating a force for good. So there's, you can do a lot of things in marketing, but if you keep in mind that you're a force for good, then you're not going to go astray and do crazy marketing things that can be done. So I would say that that's important. And I would also say that if I'm looking at a winning formula, that marketing as well as other functions within the organization are mentoring new employees and even those that are mid-level, because they're important that you keep them. I know we talk a lot about layoffs, but there are certain employees you never want to leave you. So creating something for them, and I don't care if it's formal, it's best not to be formal, but you're going to mentor two people and here they are, becomes very important in keeping the right employees.
Okay. Good to know. Good insights. I think that's, I was just reading an article and I think it was a Harvard Business Review about how long it takes to ramp up a new employee and how long it takes for them to become productive and all of these different things. And the short answer is, it takes a good 9 months before somebody's truly productive. So, we're not going to be in this, quote unquote funk forever. And we sort of have to, plan short term, but think long term. And so I think that's some really good insights. Let me ask you another question before we dive into the omni-channel marketing conversation. And that is, what is a marketing strategy you've learned about recently that has been incredibly effective?
So there's a lot of talk about product-led marketing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I will tell you about product-led marketing is you're talking about your products, but don't forget, customers don't care. What they care about is what problem it solves for them. So you can lead them with the story that you're using in your omni-channel marketing, because it is a story to your product. But don't forget, they don't care. They want to solve a problem. So give them the information they need to solve that problem and give it in all the marketing channels. Don't think they're going to look at the web and then they'll automatically open your emails or your social media or whatever you're doing. Just remember, you're going to make sure your messaging across all of those channels leads someone to the benefit and the opportunities you provide a customer.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say there's a caution with product-led marketing, and we could get into we have the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
When it really just means you are focusing on the advantages that you offer a customer.
Yep. Lights just went off in my studio here. So I think we're still going live and there's still a little bit of spotlight on me. So if you're watching
I can
this,
still see your face, and that's good, Brett.
There we go. And for those of you on the podcast, you are welcome for not having to see my face. So let's dive into omni-channel marketing. Actually, before we dive into that, the one thing I want to talk about, and you're spot on, product-led growth, it's a book, it's a movement, it's an idea. It reminds me of the days of big data. When big data came out, everybody who had some kind of database became big data. Product-led growth has sort of become this thing that people glob onto. Oh, we have a product-led growth strategy. Well, what is it? Well, people will love our product and tell other people about it. Well, that's not exactly, product-led growth. So I think 2 or 3 podcasts ago, I talk about the difference between product-led growth, community-led growth, which is really getting your customers involved, which I think is way more important right now to, in fact, my last podcast talked about love the one you're with, doubling down on your existing customers as we go through this turmoil. And then market-led growth, which is really, how to grow things through a market penetration or a category defining, model. So I think that's incredibly helpful. So let's dive in deeper to, you lightly touched on a couple of omni-channel discussion points. So if you're talking to a CEO, and I'm not going to say it's like talking to a sixth grader, but we'll give that analogy. What is omni-channel marketing in a way that a CEO who has 1,000 things going on can understand and appreciate it?
Omnichannel marketing, when done well, delivers a seamless customer experience across all marketing channels. They don't stand alone. They are seamless and take the customer on a journey that makes sense to different segments of customers. They're not all alike. So years ago, we stopped thinking that we could do one thing and they would come. That was just, it's not going to happen. So
Yep.
here, let's make it easy for customers across every channel that you have and integrate those channels such that there is a message that makes sense to the customer, not
Mhm.
necessarily a corporate message. I've seen a lot of people now in social media giving corporate messaging. Well, nobody cares about that. What they care about is, what are you going to do for me today? And that's exactly what all the messaging should be about. It's a story that leads people to the benefit you have to offer. And then I would tell you, if I were a CEO, I would look and say, but why do I care? That sounds like it's going to upend everything marketing's been doing for the last many years. And it doesn't have to. But I would tell you that there are studies like Databerg that show that brands that actually embrace an omni-channel marketing plan are more successful than those that don't. So what do they do differently? They've increased their engagement and their purchase rate, and their customer retention is at about 91%. Now that saves the organization a lot of time and a lot of money, and you focus where you need to focus. So that's why you would want to do it. And that's why you would want to change. And change is a hard word for everyone. No one wants to change. Nobody.
Yep.
But this is done to help customers. And when you help customers, they help you. So that's how I would look at this, Brett.
Okay. Okay. I love that. It kind of goes back to the old adage, you have to touch somebody 7 times before they actually, even think about you. And I can't remember if that's a Seth Godin thing or where that comes from, but it's almost like you've got to reach people in a lot of different ways, a lot of different models, to get things to sink in and to reach buyers where they are in their buyer journey. And I think that's, when I think about omnichannel, I think about the fact that the buyer journey is so much more important than the sales process. One is customer centric, one is company centric. And so you're hitting, you're hitting people on the head with understanding their pain in a multimodal approach, which works incredibly well.
Now, I would tell you, Brett, what makes this hard for people is that you're going to have a message and a story that resonates. And what we're used to typically is social does their messaging, email does its messaging, the web has more of a corporate story, and I could go on and on and on. And so now the change is there is a story and a message that's coherent and ties together for all of those channels. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody has to report into a VP or whatever. It means that planning now is more important than it used to be. And every one of those marketing channels has a goal to be part of that plan. And I would say that that's not a marketing strength, Brett, in any
Yeah,
way, shape, or form, but it is something with a simple template that people can actually do.
got it. So then that leads me to another question, which is when you're looking at companies and you're looking at, you know, an omni-channel approach, what's the key gap? What's the number one thing that's missing? And maybe you hit on it because you talked about the idea that, messaging and, the story, the messaging, the value proposition. We have this thing and tangent here. We have this thing called the 5 phases of market-led growth. And the number one thing is have your message together. So that brand and messaging playbook that allows everyone and anyone that may ever touch a client to be consistent, whether it's a social media manager, a salesperson, the CEO speaking at a conference, a CTO speaking at a conference, or more importantly, the multitude of agencies that are being used to help a company deliver, making sure that everybody has the same playbook. You really hit on the fact that that's really important. Is that the big gap that you see most companies having, or are there other gaps you see when it comes to omni-channel marketing, where companies really need to, consistently fill a specific hole?
I see you need that brand guideline. And what happens is people think that the story is old. And so they want to change the story. I want to talk about it like this. I'm going to talk about it like this. But people will not remember who you are as a brand or what you stand for, not only your value prop or your brand prop. They just won't get it. You'll confuse them. So whether you think it's boring, by the way, these are terms I've heard from many of my constituents throughout my career. That is so boring. I've said it 500 times. Well, there are different ways to say it that mean the same thing. You can make the story very interesting, but someone needs to sit down, create an editorial calendar, and put that story in each month, each quarter, so that people understand what they're delivering. And then I would go a step further and say, everyone needs to put their plan on this, no matter what it is, what assets you're using, how you're going to go about it in this one document, high level, so that there is a story that a customer can relate to, not a message that you want to talk about, but a message that a customer will relate to. What problem are you solving? How are you solving it? Why are you leading them to your product, for example?
Yep.
And how is it different? So it's a story that someone needs to put together before anybody decides how they're going to actually go forward with these different channels.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So then, when we're talking about, we work with a big range of companies, everything from, really well-funded seed stage companies all the way to private equity backed companies. And, so the people who might be listening are probably asking themselves, when is it the right time to think omni-channel for my business? So what stage companies should really be considering the omni-channel approach and which ones should not?
Well, I believe that all stage companies should think omni-channel, because once you get a customer, you need to keep it. It's very, very expensive to replace a customer. And acquisition is the most expensive part of the marketing funnel. Keeping customers and serving all levels of that funnel becomes important. So if you start as omni-channel, it's easier as you grow.
Yep.
The planning becomes easier. The execution becomes easier. Now, it does say that there will be some new positions within marketing.
Okay.
I just said them: planning, storytelling, and execution, which is someone looking at every piece of the plan and making sure it gets executed. A project manager. We don't usually think in those terms in marketing.
Yep.
Those are the keys to making sure you're no matter what you're implementing, you need those folks.
I love that. That's a three-legged stool that I think is really important for people to look at: planning, storytelling, and execution.
Yes.
I don't see a lot of CEOs or even, CMOs thinking about it in that way, but those are the three legs of the stool that you need to look at, especially in 2023. Who's planning things out? Who is doing the storytelling, and who's actually putting the, the rubber to the road, the execution. So I love that. I think we've got another story to talk about, the three-legged stool of marketing, that we could do a podcast together again here in a few months.
Well, those are fun areas, and I wouldn't say they play the strengths of marketing as they used to be,
mhm.
but in this day and age, they're critical.
Yep.
Everything
Yep.
can't be priority one, Brett. So what is it?
Yep. Yep. That's something we do with all of our clients. And honestly, that's the challenge, is what they count on us for is prioritizing and aligning resources to get stuff done. So yeah, I love that. So then the next question, is, show us how this works in action. So what are some examples of successes you've had in building omni-channel marketing? And, why is it that someone would really be interested in you helping them out when they need to think about things as omni-channel, when they need to think about things in your three-legged stool approach? Um, what are some examples of success here?
I'm going to give you one that I think most people can understand first, and then I'm going to relate it to a SaaS model.
Okay.
So the first one I'm going to give you is Walgreens. At Walgreens, you can call them if you want and sit on phone and on hold. But more than likely in a digital world, you're going online. You can renew any prescription and keep them renewed. So they just notify you via text, it's ready to pick up. You can have it sent to you. You don't have to go through the drive-through window, which is another choice, or stand in line at the pharmacy. It can be delivered to you. So the thought is, make it simple, make it easy for your customers. If it's hard, they're going to think about it a long time before they do it. And that may be a reason for them to change.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. That's a great example. And sort of helps us think about things from a customer-centric approach, which I think ultimately is sort of what you're telling us to do, is making sure that we're looking at it from the customer's lens, not from.
And then I would say, don't guess about your story and about what customers need.
Mhm.
Most people have an advisory committee, and they'll run their product roadmap through the advisory committee. But I believe you should run any marketing story and branding through your advisory committee as well. It's about them. It's not about what the company wants. It's not about what marketing wants. It's all about what relates to the customer. And you really, really will not know that unless you go and do, I'm going to call it an A/B test live over Zoom with your advisory committee.
Okay. Okay.
30 minutes worth.
Okay. Love it. All right.
So if I were going to give you one key takeaway
Yep.
from what we're talking about today, it's first start with and test everything with your customers. Don't assume you know. And then you can go to town. And if you get lost in the middle of campaign 2, test again.
That's really hard for some CEOs to embrace. And I blame Steve Jobs for that, who famously said, I don't want to interview customers because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they need because they've never seen it before when it comes to an iPhone, an iPad, AirPods, whatever it might be. And I think there's very few of us that can think as, Steve Jobs is a Steve Jobs for a reason. The rest of us need to rely on our customers, because our customers give us the answers we need. We just have to ask. And for a lot of our clients that are, emerging, that are Series A, Series B, and the founder is more of a technology oriented founder, yeah, it's so hard to say, let's just ask our customers. They want to give us the answer. They want us to succeed. Um, and they love having a voice. And obviously you have to temper the voice a little bit. They can't, the inmates
Not
can't
telling
take
you.
over the asylum, but they've got the insights that you need, and they're going to tell you how to go get more of the same type of people. So, I love that. And I love the listen to the customer. Um, so Kay, this is the end of the show. This is a wrap up. That's really it for today. This has been all about omnichannel marketing and why it matters to CEOs. Kay, thank you, thank you, thank you for being such a great source of insight and thoughtfulness and experience. Um, for everyone, if you like this show, be sure to give us 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this. Don't forget to visit us at growpowerful.io and subscribe to our blog. You can subscribe to our Grow Up with Grow show on your favorite place. We're everywhere pretty much. We've got a LinkedIn newsletter. We're on YouTube. And if you are a fractional chief marketing officer or an interim chief marketing officer, don't forget to join our community. It's called FRACMO. And it's open to all who want to learn, all who want to share, all who want to grow in the everything fractional and interim CMO world. Thanks and have a fantastic, fantastic day.